adaptarnos a los nuevos tiempos, reinventarnos, desaparecer para crear un nuevo sistema moderno y eficaz que ya se entiende por todas partes.
Welcome to SCI-Arc. It's Elena Manferdini with Florencia, Pita, and we're here in our own gallery in downtown to look at the 11 best graduate program students of SCI-Arc.
Each of them questions something within architecture. They somehow absorb many ideas that are happening right now within academic environment of the school, and then they develop their own projects.
You can see an incredible array of different processes of making architecture. And the process of making and designing architecture is really part of the way you think about it and the way you can innovate.
Thesis is the beginning of their careers as architects.
I will explain you a little bit about the project of Oscar Aronson. The project imagines a new Los Angeles where public space is within a private development. So what you see here is actually the visualization of a void. There is a building all around it, and what we're seeing here is just the space that the building contains. It's an incredibly high lobby with a set of elevator and escalator and a set of communication system that makes the space alive vertically. It also is occupied by public venues like post offices, libraries, places where people are gathering. And the idea is that the plaza from horizontal becomes vertical, and that the city somehow is now an inside void into a much larger space.
This project is by the student Polina Alexieva. She's one of the students that look outside of the discipline of architecture, started to look at science fiction movies, and started to look at techniques that are a little bit outside of our realm to augment the way that you start to imagine a new city. The building is a building that is not real, it's part of your imagination, but it becomes reality. The building is kind of alive. It tries to kind of build up on the kind of dynamic mechanisms that are very present in science fiction. They can also somehow, at some point, in some future, as she presented, could become part of the architectural materiality. And next, we're going to see a performance by the student Elena Larionova.
The death of historian Tom Rout made public never-before-seen materials that might shed light onto the disappearance of Dr. Pham.
The search mission to locate Dr. Pham is still on its way. No news on his whereabouts yet.
Day 2, 35th level, 50.2538 north. Copy?
Funny how we just adapt to things. The makeshift measuring tape that is saving us big time. It consists of a 1-meter thread, borrowed from Dr. Collins' sewing kit.
Perhaps it was just mere hubris that led you down the rabbit hole, which until today seems not to have an end.
The image depicts what seems to be a pair of wooden snowshoes with the icy and snowy Arctic landscape in the background.
Patrick Gesk is our Frank Gehry Prize winner for the m.arch program. He rethought the idea of the convention center. Convention centers are usually incredibly large and flat, and he thought about how can you then engage a different scale of view when you have these large, massive buildings. The project really tried to understand how multiple and different languages could come together to create something completely new because of the disparity and the difference between the elements, but still coming together in something that we call coincidental. The project that is behind me, Majeda Alinai, is called Deep Surfaces. It's a play between bidimensionality and tridimensionality and how they relate to each other when you go from the space of the drawing to the space of architecture. The surface here, not flat actually, it's a layer of multiple graphics and multiple materials coming together that create depth and interesting relationship with the viewer. It also challenges the idea of the walls and ornamentation. We're used to have around us environments that are neutral to the viewers. This is actually not neutral. It's an environment that is highly articulated and specific to how we see ourselves into them and how we then start participating in a world of fantasy. Christian thought about the column for all his theses and reinvented one. This is over 400 pounds. And not only, I think, becomes a structural problem, the one you tackled, but also an aesthetic one. How can architects use different materials and composites, and how they can change the way we think about something quite simple that we thought we knew, which is a column, in a contemporary way. And it's great to see at SCI-Arc actually this kind of research that promotes thoughts and hands-on experimentation that could change the field maybe 10 years or 20 years from now.
This is a project by student Paul Chryst. The idea was how to kind of look at the spaces of the domestic and augment the elements that you find in the domestic space. You know, he created a set, he staged a film of a family, and then he choreographed a series of moments. And in those moments, it was not only about what's present there, but also what new moods or what new type of spaces he can create. From the original footage, he took moments and then he created kind of architectural details to those moments, you know, from the kind of softness of the room to the kind of steel plates, kind of presenting these surreal new spaces in his videos and in the still photographs. This is a thesis by the student Daniel Hapton. The thesis name is on the emancipation of typologies. The way that he started is that he looked at very simple diagrams of traditional typologies, and he started to challenge them. Almost he started to play with readapting them to create novelty. This is a thesis also that really takes advantage of the whole range of architectural representation, from the study models to the study diagrams, plans, sections, and then the model. So this is the work of the student Kenshi Hattori. The thesis name is called Fragment of a Reference. Each one of these was a portion of a drawing by architect James Stirling. And then he's taking that and augmenting that to the scale of a building. So it's a take on the relationship between architecture and representation, how something that belongs in the realm of representation can be brought up full scale into an architectural site. So that I moved to the work of m.arch. The name of his thesis is Architecture in Drag. He's looking at the notion of transformation, like a drag queen, how you kind of augment the kind of character of a person. So in this case, he looked at a building that has a, kind of a strong history and characteristic, Notre Dame in Paris. He took on this idea of kind of transforming the ornaments of Notre Dame. He took original forms and ornamentations and inflated them to kind of achieve a new kind of architecture, a new enclosure. Thank you for joining us here at SCI-Arc channel for our exhibition for the Graduate Thesis 2016 here at SCI-Arc in downtown Los Angeles in the Arts District.
Para adaptarnos a los nuevos tiempos, reinventarnos, desaparecer para crear un nuevo sistema moderno y eficaz que ya se entiende por todas partes.